So I guess it was about 2 years now, I did a video on how to assemble one of these Amazon Basics patio heaters, which had been out of stock for the first part of the pandemic, and they just come in, I think, in 2021 when I did that. And people seem to like that video. Well, now it's 2 years later, and what happened was this was sitting out on the patio. We used it that first season a lot. Next year, not so much, because we were moving more inside again. But it was sitting out there, and we had a huge windstorm, and I said, I don't have to worry about the patio heater. It has this cover on it. Got one of these cheap, I don't know, $28, if it was that, covers to cover the whole thing. And then, of course, it has all the sand I put in the bottom and the propane tank sitting on it. So I said it'd never fall over. Well, naturally, I guess the cover acted like a sail, and the whole thing did fall over. And wait a minute, look at what it did. I mean, you can see the lid had a little distress when it fell over. So naturally, I've let it sit for a whole year without doing anything about it, and I finally ordered like a $31 supposedly universal replacement for these things. This was 4 sections going together, if you'll remember, and the new one is 3 sections, but one of the commenters on the reviews for the replacement I bought said, these are common parts, don't worry about it, it will fit yours. Even if the new one is 3 sections instead of 4, it's all the same stuff, don't worry about it. So we'll find out if that's true. I'll put up the thing I ordered here. But one of the things I noticed, if you'll remember, I had a big decision about whether to put the nut caps on the top or on the bottom, and I put them on the top because I thought they'd hold better, but it turns out the whole thing's rusty, so much for galvanization of these things. I had to actually use pliers to unscrew one of them. And then the posts that sit in way on the top were tweaked a little bit. They bent the top, and so I've kind of pulled them back, and now I'm noticing this whole top part, this is kind of rocking around, so it's a little worse for wear. In fact, these Phillips seem a little tight. Then the other thing I discovered when I opened this thing up, I said, gee, it smells musty in there. And it turns out that there was a big puddle of water sitting underneath the propane tank. So apparently this cover leaks or something, but water got under there and has rusted this a little bit. I've blown it out with the leaf blower, and now it's dry, so got to keep an eye on that. It's another thing to worry about. So I've got the new thing here. So here's the new 3 pieces and a bunch of hardware, not as organized as Amazon people did. We'll kind of check the diameter here. Seems to be about the same rate of curvature, so that's encouraging. So let's open this up, and we'll kind of put this together and tighten this up and see how replacing one of these goes. So I think the first thing I'll do is unwrap this and organize all the parts, and I won't bore you with that. Hang on. So I figure the manufacturer figures if you build it out of 3 sections rather than 4, you only need 3 of these posts and 3 of these nuts instead of 4 of them. But that raises a problem for me, since I have 4 posts and need 4 holes, and the center section on this new one only has 3 holes. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. So the notion that these are completely interchangeable parts seems to be a fallacy. And these don't come with washers for the top and bottom of these posts like the original did. And still the same decision looking at the instructions whether to put the cap nuts on top or underneath. I'm going to put them on top again because that seemed like a good way to do it. So yeah, let me compare the old one to the new one, because we may have some installation problems here. Okay, strike everything I just said. This does have just 3 holes on it. I thought it had 4, so I must be drunker than I thought. And let's see if they're all gonna kind of be the same here. Yeah, it's close. I guess it is. Okay, I guess they are interchangeable. Never mind. Okay, so Mr. Instructions say to take the blue stuff off, which we'll do kind of one at a time as we go like I did last time. And slide 2 panels together, align the pre-drilled holes, Insert one screw and cap nut and repeat. All right, let's have at it and see what happens. It's windy here today, everything's blowing away. This is not the easiest stuff to find the edge. Should mention the patio heater works great. The only problem is, you know, everyone's outside drinking and we turn it on and then everyone comes into the house and the thing stays on there blasting away, burning up all of its propane with no one watching it. We had that happen a few times. So then I go out at, you know, 1 in the morning to shut down after some big party and the thing's been going all night with no one there. So that's been our biggest problem with it. Other than, I guess, now this new water puddling and the fact that it can blow over in the storm. We'll try to tuck it in the corner next time. I'll take that more seriously. Let me time-lapse the removal of all this stuff. I don't know how you're supposed to grab an edge of this blue stuff in here because it's so... yeah, how do you get this off? There's no... This edge is under the rolled metal, and then there's nothing really here at the holes. I guess I can go in with a... Let's get the knife. See if we can mess this up with a sharp knife. I don't know how else you're going to do this. Except, you know, pray you got a little bubble you can get under. Hey! There we go. Jeez, that's miserable. I don't remember the blue covering on the original being so hard to get off. This is really, and it's not, it's tacky, it's not sticky, but it definitely has an affinity for sheet metal. Okay. And of course the bump up goes up, and I guess it was, those go underneath like that. So let's do another one. I was going to remove the blue protective covering as I went to protect them, and that goes better with when you have 4 of these things, but I hate this blue stuff so much. It's the most miserable part of this. I'm just going to take it all off now. Okay, let me throw all this stuff away and come back. Hang on. Okay, as I recall from last time, the outer ones just go through the edge pieces, and then the middle ones go through the edge piece and the center. That was my problem last time. I assembled the whole ring and then had to take all these interior ones out to put the ring on because I messed up. But let's see if we can start putting a couple of these together here. You know, the fit isn't bad. So I'm just going to put the ones in the outer perimeter. To start, and we'll just kind of keep them loosey-goosey so we have some flexibility. I replaced the gas valve in my State water heater, which I guess State's been bought by what's it? Oh God, hell to get old, can't remember anything anymore. Well, anyway, State's been bought by another company, so I had the Honeywell gas valve without the. And you know, the gas valve goes through a hole in the water tank to sense the temperature inside. And I let the thing open the valve and let it drain for like 4 hours with all the valves open so the air could come in the hot water line so it could drain. It never got very fast, but I said after 4 hours I'm going to try it. And I go to unscrew the valve, cold water's off, and it shot water all over me. So I was going to make a YouTube video about that, and I'm glad I didn't because it was kind of embarrassing. So I think my drain valve is actually clogged, and that was part of the problem. So now let's see about getting this center section in here. I think that it goes like that. Actually, I'm looking over at the old one, and it looks like this is on top of that one, so I'm doing it wrong. So let's try that instead. And now this will go through both metal halves and the cap. There we go. That last one was a little tight as all the pieces kind of get used to each other. There you go. And then the other three go 1, 2, 3. Might be, excuse me, it might be fun to compare this old hardware to the new hardware. Hang on. So here's the original with its 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, and these end caps are. I got a 10 millimeter socket here. None of my Imperial nut drivers seem to fit this thing. So, but this 10 millimeter ratchet does, and I think I have to take this apart anyway to fit it in the recycling bin. Well, it might fit in there, but then there wouldn't be room for anything else. These are pretty rusty, so let's see how hard this is going to be. There you go. Once you get it started, it's okay. All right, so I'll take all these out and throw this thing away. But now we can see, looks like the hardware is pretty darn similar. So maybe they all do come out of one factory in China somewhere. And as you can see, it's pretty much identical. Actually, the original is a little bit shorter and the diameter seems to be a little bit smaller. So in that sense, maybe the new one is just a little bit more nicely built. Anyway, I will now put these last 3 mid-section bolts into the top and tighten everything up, and then we'll try to take it up there and put it in. So I had good luck just setting this in my lap and then slowly rotating this thing and holding it still with the screwdriver and using the ratchet to tighten it from the top, which is easier than turning the screwdriver, for me anyway. I'm not using their goofy tool that they included because it'll take forever. I'm not sure what the Allen wrench part of that's for. Maybe nothing. Okay, I think I've been all the way around here. Yeah, now we can do the outside. And there we go. Let's offer it up, as our British friends say, to the burner assembly, burner head. Okay, here we go. So these are the existing posts, and you see they're all rusty. And then these are the new ones, which are, oh, quite a bit shorter. Interesting. I was going to use the new hardware, but maybe, do we want it closer or farther away? I guess closer's good, although might heat to escape off the top of this thing too. No, really, this is about half the size of this other one. Huh. Well, let me think a second here. So this is the first instance where a part has significantly differed. I think I'm going to go with the original, so the theory being that having it higher would have less thermal cycling and also maybe allow convection currents over the top of this thing that wouldn't be there, or would be a lot faster, maybe get more of a hot blast of air if it's lower. I have no idea. Now the question is, are the threads on these the same? Yes, they are. All right, so in falling over, this thing tweaked these posts over a little bit, so I don't know. And the nice thing about these is they have washers on all of them, except I took one of them off. Let's see if I can find that. And let's put this thing on here then. All right, let's bring the new one up and see if we can get these posts to go through the holes. Hopefully everything will line up okay. That's not bad. Here, let me show you what I'm doing. Yeah. See, so I gotta kind of bend this guy over a little bit to get him to go through. Hard to do with one hand, hang on. There we go. And, oh, those other washers are for the top. So let me get those other 3 washers. Well, in the end, I could only find 2. So, there you go. We'll use the new wing nut. So that was a lot less painless than I thought it was going to be. The question is, does it seem goofy up so high, but it's identical to the old one as far as size and everything. I did off camera, I have compared them, and they're identical in diameter and the size of the pie plate in the middle. Okay. So, we have a new lid. Yeah. Look there. That look goofy? I don't know. Don't think so. I don't know, visually, it doesn't really show on camera. It looks a little tweaky McTweaky on this edge, but I guess it's not. Anyway, let's try to tighten this thing up. We'll see if just a screwdriver here helps or if the threads got ripped when it fell over. Yeah, I can't tighten it. It gets tight and then it releases. So I'm just gonna tighten it as much as I can. It looks like this is a little damaged. That one's good. That one's good. And these screws weren't something I assembled. This is from the factory, I think. I put these bolts in down here. Gotta look at my old video and figure out what size that is. Yeah, this one's just not so good. Rattle, 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 man. Yeah, that was loose. Again, these are factory screws. That's tight. So we'll just run around and tighten everything. I don't know. Oh, this is very loose. See if the 10mm fits this. It does. No. Just can't tighten these. Yeah, I'm afraid these two, the threads got ripped because it's just sheet metal. So I shouldn't even call it threads really because it's just a hole, I think. But that got torn. I suppose I could try to find some kind of larger size bolt to put in there and dig myself a new hole for these two. Because this is just not gonna. I can do this all day and it's never gonna tighten. In fact, it just fell out. So let's see if I've got anything bigger. I don't know. So here's the torn out hole. Here's the original little bolt that went in there with a washer. I've got a bunch of these machine screws that are really too long, but they're just slightly larger than that is. Don't ask me what size that is. I don't know, 10. I don't know. I'm not even gonna guess what that is. I should know off the top of my head and I don't. But if I thread this in, that actually is getting some bite. Whereas this, I can pull that around. Whereas this little guy just goes in and out the hole without biting it. So let me thread a nut on this, cut it down, cut it off with a hacksaw, or I don't have a bolt cutter big enough for that. And we'll try to make these a little shorter. They could be long. They're just sticking into the pipe, but the gas line goes down the middle of this thing, so they should be shorter. So I just screwed a nut on those and hacksawed them off and backed the nut off to recover the threads a little bit. Turns out these ones I cut off are, let's see, are a little longer than the original, but that's okay. But they're not such a bigger diameter that the original lock washer won't fit on them. And of course they're not hex head, so it's a job, they're flat blade, so it's a job for the big ass screwdriver if I can get it. That feels pretty good. Let's see if we can tighten it. Kind of. Oh, that's a lot better. It's not the greatest grip in the world, but at least it's not completely spinning in there. There we go. That's good. That's tightening. Better than the other one. I moved it to get the lid on. Look at all this water underneath it. And this has been evaporating for a little while. So these things really seem to collect water in the base, even though I had the cover on. Maybe the cover's keeping the water in. I don't know, but I have to keep an eye on this now. I thought it was something I didn't have to worry about. Of course, I had the camera off. When I went to move this into the corner where we store it, I discovered that these two sections of the center post had come unscrewed a little bit. If you remember, this is two pieces, and I think this is the male thread into the female receiver, and this had come loosened up. So when I gave it a twist, it tightened everything up, and now that and the two screws have made it really pretty solid again like it was. So I guess we can put the cover on this now and call it a video. This is always a pain. Let's see if I can do it from just standing on the bench here instead of having to drag the ladder out again, which I foolishly put away already. Of course, having those wing nuts on top does make getting this guy around harder. Oh, I'll get the ladder. I realize I've never actually fired this thing up on camera for you guys. I guess I should do that sometime. Come on, you. There we go. Yeah, so it might not have fallen over if I didn't have the cover on. I guess this provides a nice wind surface. Acts as a sail, carries the whole thing over. This is our second cover. They last about 24 months, and the sun beats the crap out of them and they fall apart. So this one's relatively recent. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching this update. You know, today is March 13th, so we're exactly 4 years from when lockdown started, so it's kind of nice to revisit this COVID era project in light of all that. Glad you all made it through. Take care of yourselves. Like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.